Title: Jolly Hui Busty or Woik Larky. The wind carried the smell of ashes across the open valley, drifting through the empty plains like a silent cry for help. The burned remains of an old western settlement stood in the center of the wasteland, blackened but still warm, smoke curling into the faded evening sky. Where once there had been life, children running, horses neighing, lanterns glowing, nothing remained now except destruction and silence. Ryder Cole stopped his horse at the edge of the burned town, his hat pulled low, his jaw tight. He had seen many things in the West, but the sight of a whole village burned to the ground still struck him like a bullet to the gut. He slowly dismounted, boots sinking into the dusty ground. The ashes drifted like snowflakes across his coat as he walked forward, scanning the ruins for any sign of life. "Hello?" he called out, his voice echoing through the silence. No answer. Ryder stepped carefully through the wreckage, collapsed roofs, broken fences, charred saddles, burned toys. His chest tightened. Someone had done this on purpose. Someone cruel, someone heartless. He was about to turn back when he heard a faint sound behind one of the collapsed houses. A soft breath, a muffled cry. Ryder instantly moved toward the sound. There, sitting beside the remains of what must have been her home, was a young girl, maybe 10 years old, her dress covered in dust, her hair tangled, her cheeks streaked with tears and soot. She hugged her knees tightly, staring blankly at the ashes in front of her. Ryder crouched down slowly. "Hey," he said gently. "You all right, sweetheart?" The girl lifted her eyes. They were wide, terrified, and full of a pain that no child should ever have to bear. They burned everything," she whispered. "My mama, my papa, everyone." Ryder's heart clenched. He removed his hat out of respect. "I'm sorry," he said in a low voice. "I truly am." The girl swallowed hard. "They took my little brother. I think he's still alive." Ryder looked at her carefully. "Who took him?" She hesitated, fear flickering in her eyes. "3 men. They said they'd return for me later." Ryder felt a fire ignite inside him, the fire of a man who'd seen too much injustice and refused to let the West swallow another innocent life. "What's your name?" he asked. "Lena," she replied softly. "Well, Lena," Ryder said, standing up and offering his hand, "you're safe with me now. And I promise you, on my life, I'll find your brother." Lena looked at his hand for a moment, then placed her small fingers into his. Ryder gently pulled her up and guided her toward his horse. As they rode away from the burned settlement, the sky behind them turned blood red with the last traces of sunset. Ryder's jaw hardened. Whoever had done this was still out there, and he intended to find them. By dawn, they were deep into the wild trail leading toward the Red Canyon. Tracks in the dirt showed 3 horses and a wagon, fresh, maybe less than a day old. Ryder studied them with a hunter's focus. "These the men?" he asked. Lena nodded. "They had a wagon and a black horse with a scar on its neck." Ryder traced his gloved fingers along the hoof marks. "Then we're going the right way." They rode for hours, passing old mines, dried riverbeds, and endless dusty plains. The heat of the sun was brutal, but the girl remained determined, her eyes burning with the hope of finding her brother. Ryder kept glancing back at her. She was strong, far stronger than anyone her age should have to be, and that gave him even more reason to fight for her. As evening approached, they reached a deserted shack near the canyon. Ryder signaled for Lena to stay behind a boulder while he approached quietly. Inside, he found dried food, broken bottles, and a rope with blood on it. His muscles tensed. "They kept someone here," he murmured. He searched the area and soon spotted more tracks heading deeper into the canyon. But then, something else caught his attention. A voice. A weak, trembling cry echoing through the canyon walls. Help, please! Ryder's heart leapt. That's him, Lena whispered, stepping out from behind the rock. Ryder lifted a hand. Stay behind me. They moved deeper into the canyon, following the sound until they reached a narrow pass. And then they saw him, a small boy tied to a wooden post, bruised but alive. Lena gasped. Tommy! But before she could run to him, Ryder grabbed her gently and pulled her back. From the shadows, 3 men stepped out, armed, smirking. Well, well, the leader said, a tall, scarred outlaw with a black hat. Looks like we got visitors. Ryder's hand hovered over his holster. You burn the village, Ryder said coldly. The outlaw chuckled. People should pay when they don't hand over what we want. What did you want? Ryder growled. Supplies. Money. And the girl. Her old man refused. So we taught him a lesson. Lena gripped Ryder's coat tightly. Rage burned in Ryder's eyes. You're gonna pay for what you did, Ryder said. The outlaws laughed. One reached for his gun. That was all Ryder needed. In a blur of motion, Ryder drew his revolver and fired, one bullet hitting the outlaw's hand, sending his gun flying. The canyon exploded with echoes. The other 2 outlaws reached for their weapons, but Ryder shoved Lena toward a boulder. Stay down! Bullets tore through the air. Ryder rolled behind a rock, firing again, one shot grazing the shoulder of the second outlaw. The third fired wildly, dust exploding around Ryder's feet. Ryder shouted, Lena, stay down! I'm okay, she cried. Tommy screamed, terrified. Ryder inhaled deeply, his mind calm, his aim steady. One outlaw charged toward him. Ryder stepped out, fired once, clean, sharp, and the man dropped to the ground. The scarred leader snarled and dragged Tommy slightly, pressing a gun to the boy's head. Back off, he shouted, or the kid dies. Ryder froze, every muscle tense. Tommy! Lena cried. Lena, stay where you are, Ryder shouted. The outlaw smirked. Throw your gun. Ryder clenched his teeth. His gun was his last chance. But he saw Tommy's eyes, fearful, pleading. Slowly, Ryder bent down and placed his gun on the ground. Kick it away. Ryder kicked it toward the outlaw. A wicked grin spread across the outlaw's face. Good. Now! A small stone suddenly flew and struck the outlaw's hand. He flinched. Lena stood behind him, breathing hard, another stone in her hand. Don't you touch my brother, she screamed. The outlaw swung his gun toward her. But in that split second, Ryder moved like lightning. He lunged forward, grabbed the outlaw's wrist, twisted it brutally, and slammed him against the canyon wall. The gun fired, but the bullet hit nothing but rock. Ryder punched the outlaw hard, again and again, until the man fell to the ground, unconscious. The canyon fell silent. Ryder exhaled slowly and freed Tommy from the ropes. The boy stumbled into his sister's arms, tears flowing. Ryder placed a gentle hand on both their shoulders. You're safe now. By nightfall, Ryder had tied the outlaws and left them for the sheriff in the nearest town. The siblings rode with him toward the horizon, away from the burned memories, toward a safer place. Lena looked up at Ryder. Will you stay with us? At least until we find a new home? Ryder smiled softly. As long as you need me. The stars above shimmered across the dark sky as they rode forward, 3 souls stitched together by fate, loss, and hope. The West was cruel. But sometimes, even in its harshest places, a little light survived. And Ryder intended to protect that light with everything he had. The burned village was gone. But Lena and Tommy had a future again. And Ryder Cole rode beside them, guardian, stranger, hero. A man carved by the West, and softened by 2 children who refused to give up.